Hi everyone, my name is Viviana, and today I will be doing my informative speech on how habits are formed. Have you ever thought about your morning routine? Did you brush your teeth, check your phone, or grab a cup of coffee without really thinking about it? Most of us do these things automatically because they have become habits. We don't just stop and decide whether we should brush our teeth every morning, we just do it. And that is because our brains have learned these behaviors through repetition. Everyone has habits, whether they are good or bad. Some habits, like exercising or studying, can improve our lives, and others, like procrastinating or spending too much time on social media, can make it harder to reach our goals. Understanding how habits are formed can help us make healthier choices, improve our daily routines, and become more successful in different areas of our lives. While researching this topic, I found information from the National Institutes of Health, the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases, and several peer reviewed research articles that explain how habits are formed and why they become automatic. Today, I will discuss what habits are, how habits are formed, why habits become automatic, and how people can build healthy habits. First, let's talk about what habits are. According to the National Institutes of Health, habits are behaviors that become automatic because they are repeated consistently over time. At first, we have to think about performing a new behavior. However, the more often we repeat it, the less effort it requires. Eventually, our brains learn the behavior so well that we perform it without almost thinking about it. Researchers Wendy Wood and David Neal also explain that habits are often triggered by environmental cues. These cues can be something as simple as a certain time of day, a specific place, or another routine activity. For example, many people automatically make coffee after waking up because waking up has become the cue that triggers the habit. In the same way, sitting down at a desk might remind someone to begin studying, or hearing a notification on their phone might cause them to check social media immediately. Now that we know what habits are, let's talk about how they actually develop. Habits are formed by repeating the same behavior over time. Research by Philippa Lawley and her colleagues found that habits develop when people repeatedly perform the same behavior in the same situation. Each time the behavior is repeated, the brain strengthens the connection between the cue and the action. Eventually, the behavior becomes more automatic and requires less conscious effort. Many people have probably heard the saying that it only takes 21 days to form a habit. However, recent research shows that it isn't actually true. A 2024 systematic review by Singh and colleagues found that there is no exact number of days required to form a habit. Depending on the person and the behavior, habit formation can take several weeks or even several months. This means that if a new habit doesn't become automatic after a few weeks, it doesn't mean that you failed. It just simply means that habit formation takes time and consistency. Once a habit has formed, it becomes much easier to perform without thinking. But why does that happen? Habits become automatic because the brain learns to respond to cues without much conscious thought. According to Wood and Neal, as behaviors are repeated over and over again, the brain begins to recognize familiar patterns. Instead of making a conscious decision every time, the brain starts repeating automatically whenever it recognizes a certain cue. As habits become stronger, they require less mental effort. This is actually helpful because it allows our brains to save energy for more difficult tasks that require problem solving or even decision making. Imagine if you had to think through every step of brushing your teeth, tying your shoes, or even driving to school or work every day. Those routine activities would take much more time and mental effort. Habits like these help make everyday life more efficient. Knowing how habits become automatic can also help us understand how to create healthier habits. Healthy habits can be developed through small, consistent changes. The National Institutes of Health recommends starting with small, realistic goals instead of trying to change everything at once. For example, instead of deciding to work out for 2 hours every day, someone might begin walking for just 10 minutes each day. Small successes are easier to repeat, and repetition is what builds habits. The National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases also explains that behavior change usually happens in stages. People first think about making a change, then prepare for it, take action, and finally work to maintain the new habit over time. Understanding these changes reminds us that building healthy habits is a process, not something that happens overnight. And it is normal to have setbacks, but continuing to practice the behavior is what eventually leads to lasting changes. In conclusion, habits influence many of the decisions we make every day, often without us even realizing it. Today, we learned what habits are, how they are formed, why they become automatic, and how people can build healthy habits through consistent practice. Although habits don't form overnight, small actions repeated consistently can lead to lasting positive changes. Whether your goal is to exercise more, study more effectively, or simply spend less time on your phone, understanding how habits are formed can help you make better choices and improve your daily life. Thank you for listening.